the story goes, we find out by the treasure in the grand line, there's no doubt. The pirate whose eye is on it, he'll sing, I'll be king of the pirates, I'm gonna be king.
Welcome to More Fanime. I'm your fan of More Anime. What is up, everybody? Today I want to talk about this new group in One Piece called the Cross Guild. Yes! I want to talk about who's in the Cross Guild, what is their purpose. This is a new group. If you didn't know, if you're not caught up to the One Piece manga, I highly recommend you leave this video right now because I'm going to go into full spoiler territory like I do right now. The Cross Guild is a group founded apparently by Buggy. We're still learning about them, but Buggy has somehow joined together with two very powerful and prominent characters in the One Piece story. Crocodile, one of the best villains, and Mihawk, Zoro's biggest rival in the entire story and probably final opponent. These are two unexpected characters I never assumed would ever follow somebody like Buggy. Yes, I love Buggy and his character development and his story, but I never would have assumed that someone like Crocodile, who I respect, or even Mihawk and Mihawk, who the whole world in One Piece respects, is willing to follow someone like Buggy. Yes, Buggy has been shown to gather other people and they follow him for no good reason, and they just assume he's just great because he was on Goldie Roger's ship. Valid point. He worked with Shanks. Valid point. But what has Buggy literally done other than say that he's great? He was there. He's helped Luffy here and there. He's been involved in some major battles that the world government didn't even realize he was part of Goldie Roger's ship. So he didn't make a big splash as a kid. He's a recognizable dude with that big red nose of his. If I was a Marine, I'd be like, is that little kid with the red nose from fucking Goldie Roger's ship? Nah, couldn't be. The fact that Buggy, he didn't even change his name. Maybe he had a different name. Maybe Buggy's real name is something else. What if Buggy's just a moniker? Maybe Buggy has the will of D. That's a good theory. It really is. I wonder how he was able to get Crocodile and Mihawk as part of his crew. I really do. My first guess is, if you remember, back at Impel Down, the Impel Down arc, he got this little wristband or armband from Luffy, which Luffy got from Thriller Bark, which turned out to be like a map of sorts to get to a certain pirate's, Captain John's treasure. I believe it was Captain John, this guy who used to be part of the Rocks Pirates. Please comment down below if I'm wrong. Pretty sure he was part of the Rocks Pirates, but he was a zombie in Thriller Bark. And Luffy just happened to get that little piece of a, little armband, a little bit of flair that he threw on his arm, and all Buggy wanted to help him out was that armband. His whole life, he was looking, not his whole life, but for a long period of Buggy's pirate career, he was trying to find Captain John's treasure, and I'm assuming it must be huge, and I'm assuming it's an actual treasure, and it could be just millions upon millions. Honestly, if I was Buggy, I would get that money and get the hell out of Dodge. Get rid of Mr. 3, maybe keep Mr. 3, keep Alvita, sure, that's fine. Keep him around, give him a little money, but Buggy is probably a bajillionaire right now. He's covered in berry. And I assume he's just this rich ruler right now. I know he had that Buggy delivery service he was running as a Shishibukai, making even more money, and he had hundreds of followers since the 2-year time skip. My question is, how did Buggy use that money to get Mihawk and Crocodile on his side? I'm sure Crocodile already had his own game plan going. I mean, Crocodile hasn't been a Shishibukai for a while. The world government or the Marines or whoever, the Reverie, canceling the Shishibukai system means nothing to Crocodile. He has already been kicked out for being an asshat at Alabasta. So he was already on his own pirate journey with Mr. One. So my guess is maybe when the world government started, or the Marines started hunting down the Shishibukai, he ran into Mihawk or ran into Crocodile at the same time, or somehow they ended up in the same area where they were surrounded by the Marines. And of course, you don't fuck with Mihawk, you don't fuck with Crocodile. They agree to help Buggy. Maybe Buggy, in his desperate need, tells them, I got lots of money. I could give you that money. Somebody like Crocodile, somebody like Mihawk, more likely Crocodile would come up with this major big brain game plan from his brain hole. And I believe his plan, Crocodile's plan, was to put out bounties on the Marines. And you can't do that without money to give, out. So they put out these bounties as mentioned in the last chapter. They mention the fact that, the hunters are now the hunted. So Crocodile comes up with that plan. Crocodile doesn't have the money to supply these bounties or pay off these bounties, but Buggy does. Buggy agrees not only to pay Crocodile and Mihawk for their services as bodyguards or members of his supposed cross guild. I don't assume they're actually on the same crew. I just assume that the cross guild is like the Straw Hat Fleet. We work with the Buggy pirates. And you got to remember, Buggy also has Alvida, Mr. 3, who has a really epic devil fruit ability with the wax fruit. So they got them as well, and for all we know, they could have went back and got Mr. 2 out of Impel Down, who was still alive. Very possible. That's a solid crew right there. And then Buggy has his original crew with him as well, who, they're not great, but they're there. The Lion Tamer and the swordsman guy. They're around, and they're part of this crew. But who else? Who else is part of the Cross Guild? You're wondering. I mean, our first assumptions are the baboons. Were they baboons? The monkey fighter swordsman from Mihawk's castle. That's my first thought. Is it's them? Maybe that the baboons have joined. Possibly. I don't think they're necessary, but more bodies the better. And they were pretty strong. They gave Zoro a run for his money. Possibly they're part of this cross guild, or they're at least following Mihawk. That's nice. Mihawk doesn't really need a crew. He's a crew in himself, as seen when he took out Don Krieg's army. But our boy Crocodile has a specific follower that I like, and his name is Mr. 1, Das Bones. Das Bones would be a great member of the Cross Guild, and I think Das Bones has a lot more to give to the story, and maybe he's improved his abilities. Maybe Das Bones has become a hockey master, or an armament hockey master, and really increased his devil fruit ability of turning his body into blades. I believe it's the sword fruit, or the blade fruit, something to that effect. He can turn his whole body into a weapon. He is a living sword, essentially. Then, you got Crocodile and Mihawk, of course, as mentioned. But who else is part of this crew? Another person who could possibly be part of this crew is Perona. But the last time we saw her, she was going to go find Moria. Maybe she tried and couldn't find him and came back to Mihawk. Possibly. Maybe she said she was going to go and never did and just went with Mihawk from the get-go. Possibly. So Perona would also be a badass member of this Cross Guild. Another strong female character. A character who has a very overpowered devil fruit who could just knock out a bunch of people. We have our guy, Buggy, leading this massive crew of former Shishibukai. And another former Shishibukai who really needs a place in the One Piece story in this final saga is Weevil. Weevil, a guy we've barely gotten to know. Supposed son of Whitebeard, just floating around causing havoc. At first he was a Shishibukai, killing members of the Whitebeard crew. But when the Marines turned on him, he's like, I guess I'll be killing Marines now. No biggie, mama. Because he's got that little mom character that goes along with him. So she, who was possibly a member of the Rocks Pirates, could also be part of this crew. She could also be just as dangerous as Weevil with her, big brain commanding this beast, this behemoth. This guy could be easily manipulated. She, not so much. But someone like her who has, memories from the Rocks pirate days, very, very useful for someone like Buggy. She could have the ability to read the poneglyphs for all we know. Buggy could throw his name in the hat to say, hey, I want the One Piece. He has his treasure and he's got this money and now he's sent all these bounties out for the Marines. Great. I would love to see these bounties, by the way. It would be a cool way, just like back in the day when we first saw bounties, to see how strong these characters are. I'd love to see where Akanu's bounty ranks next to Garp's bounty. And maybe we will get to see that. I can't imagine Oda's going to introduce marine bounties and not show them to us. It will be interesting once we figure out what they are. And who decides the number? Like, is it Mihawk? He's a good judge of who's strong and who's not. And you're wondering, okay, Crocodile has this great idea. I'm going to put bounties on the Marines. This gets Mihawk thinking. Mihawk wants one thing, and that's a good fight. And to be left alone otherwise, and doesn't want to get hunted by the Marines, and that's the whole reason he joined the Shishibukai system. We still don't know a whole lot about Mihawk. Maybe he did it for another reason that we're not realizing. But either way, he's no longer a world government employee. He's been let go without pay, without unemployment checks. He needs a gig. He needs some moolah. And, maybe he doesn't want to go around stealing shit. And he's just too old for that at this point. And he just wants to find a good fight. Of course, Zoro's out there, but maybe he's just not ready yet. And the only way to fight Zoro, though, is to be in the new world, where Mihawk, I don't believe, was. I don't know exactly where his island was located, but I don't think he was in the New World. So he heads to the New World. Crocodile, they run into Buggy. They come up with the idea of hunting Marines. Mihawk doesn't necessarily need all the money. He'll take it. Great, I'll get paid to be your bodyguard, Buggy. I don't give a shit. I got no ego. He also loves the idea of marine bounties that he can collect. Yes! You see what I'm doing here? You have Mihawk, still out there on his own, but representing the Cross Guild, hunting down these pirates, or not pirates, Marines. He gathers somebody like Green Bull, brings him in for huge money since he's an admiral. He's out. They execute him live, I don't know, lock him up. He hasn't done a whole lot. He's not necessary for the story. I don't want to do that to someone like Kizaru, but maybe Kizaru could be captured and his bounty could be received. Maybe some vice admirals can be captured. And then once they're captured and humiliated, at least publicly, they will be removed, and then we can get a new admiral and replace Mr. Greenbull, who's kind of a little bit of a failure after his debacle at Wano. I could see him getting demoted or removed if he's captured by the Cross Guild, and a man who could capture him is Mihawk. Mihawk, a guy who could compare with somebody like Shanks back in the day when they used to fight. So, what does that mean for the future of this series? It means we're probably going to start dropping Marines left and right, the ones that don't necessarily matter, like currently Green Bull, vice admirals that, have no point. Maybe that vice admiral that tried to take Boa Hancock in, that stabbed himself in the hand, he'd be a good candidate to be captured by Mihawk. Crocodile, though, Crocodile and Mr. One, I'm sure Mr. One, the badass he is like, hey man, hey Croc, hey dude, why are we following Buggy the Clown? And the Crocodile's like, it's all going to make sense You'll see. You'll see. We're gonna go get the One Piece. And, he'll make Buggy think he's the captain. Whatever makes him feel better. And that might just be a world government issue. Crocodile might think that he's the captain. And he's pissed off. He might see the paper thinking, I came up. Maybe Crocodile came up with the Cross Guild. It would make so much sense since he came up with Baroque works. After Crocodile found out that they voted to end the Shishibukai system, Crocodile's like, glad I got out of that when I did, because it was going to end anyway, and they would have came after me anyway. So I'm glad I, broke the rules back at Alabasta. But, he's sitting in his secret lair with Mr. One, and they're going to start hunting the former Shishibukai, the former warlords. And that includes Buggy, a member of the Goldie Rogers crew. That includes Mihawk, Boa Hancock, Weevil. That's a hell of a list. And he thought, this is a great way to put a powerhouse team together. Because for all we know, they might be headed to pick up Boa Hancock to let her join. I can't imagine her listening to Buggy, but maybe Crocodile. Maybe, or at least just joining, just to have power behind her, and help protect her family. I could see Boa Hancock doing this if it protected her people who are now in danger. I know she's doing something with Kobe. Well, hopefully we'll get some information out of that. I will see. But maybe they're collecting all the Shishibukai, and these are the first 3 to join together. Very interesting. But Crocodile comes up with this entire plan, tells Buggy about it. Buggy's the bombastic clown. He's just like, yes, we're the Cross Guild, me and Mihawk and Crocodile, ha ha ha. And Crocodile doesn't think twice about it, but he's out there being crazy with his chop fruit abilities, not really helping, but he's around and kind of scary. And I'm sure Marines are kind of scared of him, like, whoa, that's Buggy. He's a former member of the Goldie Rogers crew. He's got to be as strong as Whitebeard. And that could be happening. And then they go tell the Gorosei, or they go tell the Marines, or they go tell whoever makes the bounty system. And they're like, oh shit, Buggy put this together? And Crocodile's the mastermind behind all of this. And you're just like, what is happening here? Buggy gets, all the blame or the responsibility of being the leader of the Cross Guild, and is then named the next emperor. And then Crocodile's looking at the paper like, are you fucking kidding me? This was supposed to make me an emperor. Could you imagine if you read the newspaper and it was like, Crocodile is your new 4th emperor? When they revealed Buggy as the 4th emperor, people freaked out a little bit. They were like, why? But if Crocodile was put into that slot, since we haven't seen him in so long, you wouldn't have questioned it. You would have been like, what did Crocodile do to get so strong? What is he doing out there? And then if he was the leader of this group, he'd be like, oh shit, Crocodile's rebuilding Baroque works. Now that would excite me. This is basically a better version of Baroque works. Stronger characters in a way. You got Mihawk there, obviously, who's probably leagues stronger than both Crocodile and Buggy combined. So maybe, he convinced Mihawk, which is possible. I could see Crocodile. Crocodile's very good at deceiving people. Maybe he convinced Mihawk to do this. I don't know. Buggy's so good at getting people to follow him as well. Buggy's just so lucky. I personally would have preferred if Crocodile was the new emperor, or even Mihawk would make a lot of sense. But Mihawk doesn't really have a large crew to represent or territory to be an emperor of the sea. So there's a lot of potential here. There is a lot of potential, but what's their goal? What is their goal? Is it to gather all the former Shishibukai? Is it just to keep these 3 together with their crewmates? Or is it to get the One Piece? And Crocodile makes sense. He wants the One Piece. Crocodile wants to be king of the pirates. And maybe Buggy thinks that he's going to get the One Piece. Maybe this group is thinking, yeah, we'll work together until we get to the One Piece. And Buggy the whole time is like, how am I going to trick these guys into letting me have the One Piece? And I'm sure Crocodile's like, I'm just going to, last second, I'm just going to kill them both. I'm going to kill them both when they're sleeping. And I'm going to get in there before the Straw Hat crew can. And I'm going gonna steal the One Piece, and I'm gonna be king of the pirates without ever having to become an emperor. That's a very big possibility, and it could happen that way. It really could. I would not be surprised if we found out this was all Crocodile's doing or Mihawk's doing. Mihawk doesn't seem like a guy that needs help, so him being convinced into helping them makes more sense. There's a lot of questions with this Cross Guild, and I hope we have a full chapter explaining it all very soon. But these are my theories. What did you think of this video, more Phantomaniacs? Please comment down below. Who do you think was the real mastermind behind the Cross Guild? Do you think it was Buggy the Clown? Has Buggy awakened his devil fruit ability? Has he advanced his hockey ability, if he has any at all? Has Buggy been hiding his secret power this whole time? Very possible. Does Buggy have the will of D? We don't know. There's questions to be had about him. There's questions to be had about Mihawk, and there's big questions to be had about Crocodile. Remember when Ivankov was like, I know a secret about you, Croc, and I'll reveal it if you betray us. I'd love to know what that is. This is more Phantomade. Please don't forget to comment down below. Let me know your theories. I'll talk to you later.